Hey everyone, this is Robbie with Believe in the Run, and today we're talking with Saucony athlete, polar athlete, Noah Droddy. Really excited to have him on the show. Um, if you don't know Noah Droddy, he's, let's see, the best way to describe him is a long-haired, mustachioed runner. We all love mustaches here at Believe in the Run. I mean, we're fans of Jared Ward. We love Brian Tolbert. Huge mustache fans over here. So anyways, Noah Droddy, Saucony athlete, super fast dude, probably the skinniest guy I've ever seen in real life or fake life. Okay, he's just joined in, so Noah, just hit the request to join button and I'll loop you right in here. Hey man, what's going on?
Hey, can you see me?
Yep, I can see you. I might need
Oh,
might need to switch up my view. Surprisingly, I don't have this like 100% figured out yet.
well, you were faking it really well.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, man. Just kind of hanging out.
Nice.
Yeah, living the dream.
Yeah, as all of us are during these times.
That's all we can do.
Where are you at right now? Are you in Boulder?
Yeah, I'm in my apartment in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay, cool. And how long have you lived in Boulder? Because like originally you're from Indiana, correct?
Yeah, originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. And I moved out here at the end of 2015, so we're coming up on 5 years now.
Okay, nice. And yeah, so you went to DePaul University, is that correct?
Yeah, DePaul University, D3 school, Greencastle, Indiana. Graduated in 2013, and then just kind of messed around for a couple of years before I found my way out here in 2015.
Nice, that's awesome. And I know for a while you were running with Roots Running for your training. Is that who you're still with right now?
Yeah, I got the hat on.
Nice.
Yeah, so still training with Roots. In 2015 when I was looking for a training group, I sent out a lot of emails. Coach Richie Hansen is the only one who answered me, and so that's where I came, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. Now, I found out about you as probably like a lot of people did from that whole runner's world, like the dude who crashed was it 2016 Olympic trials?
Yeah, the beer drinking partier hero.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I can get behind this because I think at the time I also had long hair, and in the running community, you don't see it too often.
it's true.
So yeah, I was immediately like, all right, I could get down with this dude, and I think that's how a lot of other people found out about you as well. And but I mean, you were a fast dude. It's not like you just showed up to the Olympic trials and like wandered onto the track and were like, oh, this is a place I could run at. So, but yeah, how did that like change everything for you? Because I feel like before then, it was kind of the beginning of your running career, and then there's before and then after. Now you're a Saucony athlete and polar athlete and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, things changed for me really quickly, kind of starting when I moved out here. And so, I mean, one kind of interesting fact about that, the trials races, I actually had tickets to be a spectator there. Like I was planning on going just to watch with my dad. I bought tickets maybe the year before when they went on sale, and just kind of life happened, and I ended up, you know, the potential that I believed was there ended up actually being there, and I put myself in the right situation to bring that out. And I qualified on the last possible chance I had to make it to that race, and so competing on that stage was wild. Never expected to be there. It was really cool. But yeah, I got a little bit of media attention after that, which was nice, and I was lucky that I was able to continue. I can move over here. Was able to continue improving after that, and so yeah, it is where I think a lot of people know me from, but I definitely view it as a kind of the beginning of my professional career, and I'm a totally different athlete now in a totally different scenario than I was then.
Yeah, well, at the time you were mostly like 10,000-meter runner. Is that what like the longest you kind of raced at the time? Um,
I had run half marathons, and so I did qualify for the Olympic trials in the marathon earlier that year with a half marathon qualifier.
Gotcha.
But it didn't go well, and I was like a 64-minute half guy, and there were like 164-minute half guys, so
Gotcha.
I was just in the pack, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 10K, that was probably my most successful race up to that point.
Okay. Well, then you lowered your halftime like real, I think by a lot when you raced in Houston. Is that correct? Like in 27.
Yeah, so I kind of chipped away at it. And so when I moved to Boulder, my half marathon PR was 68 minutes. It was 64, a few months after I moved out here. I ran 63 in Houston. And then it was in New York where I ran 61 minutes
Oh, right. Okay.
in 2017. And so that was my, the biggest race of my career to that point, and still one of my best races ever, probably. But that definitely bumped me up in the ranks, I think, and made me a legitimate, American distance athlete.
For sure. Was that when you like signed on with Saucony? Was it around that time?
I had signed with Polar before that race, and I signed with Saucony a few months after.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and I guess all that progressed into last fall when you uh what place did you finish? Did you finish eighth place at Chicago?
I was the eighth American, which I was 16th overall, which was kind of, I look back at when I ran Chicago in 2017,
Yeah.
and I ran 2:16, right? And I finished 16th overall.
Yeah.
And then we fast forward to Chicago last year. I run 5 minutes faster. I run 2:11, and I'm still
That's crazy.
16th overall. It just a very deep year.
That's insane. Yeah. What did you run in for race day at Chicago? What shoe?
It was one of the final versions of the Endorphin Pro prototypes,
Okay.
and so
Gotcha.
the shoe wasn't commercially available yet, but that was like basically the final version.
I mean, I gotta say the Endorphin Pro is a pretty sick shoe. Like we actually I'll show it off since Saucony will enjoy that. But yeah,
Uh,
the Pro and the Speed, I think they're both like pretty incredible shoes. I think the Speed might be my favorite of the two just for the versatility of it. But
yeah, I love the Speed too. The Endorphin is just kind of it's a great shoe, and it's near to my heart because we all played such, we were all involved in the creation of it. I mean, I've been racing in prototypes for a year and a half, and it was one of the first projects where I was like, okay, you know, I am a very tiny part of bringing this shoe to market. And so it was a really cool process. And I think the final product is competitive with anything else out there. So I've just been really grateful to be a part of it.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I'm sure you're happy to be a part of Saucony for. I feel like they've had an amazing year this year, just like putting out one sick shoe after another. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, the product has been great. And I mean, to be honest, I ran Saucony before I ran
Oh,
for Saucony. I ran in Saucony basically my whole running life, unless somebody gave me a free pair of shoes or something else. I was buying Saucony shoes, and so it was kind of like a full circle moment signing that contract.
that's awesome. And so you ran Chicago, and then you were planning on running in the trials, but like, can you tell me what happened in between then? Because I seen bits here and there, but never got like the full picture.
Yeah, so I didn't come off Chicago very well. I mean, I think I definitely pushed my body into a place I'd never been before, running 5-minute miles for 2 hours. It was just unknown territory for me. And, I maybe ran above my fitness level a little bit and just wrecked my body. The the actual injury, it was a knee, and I had a knee injury, and I never got a great diagnosis of it. But I started running a few weeks after Chicago, and things just didn't feel right. I wasn't coming around, and eventually I had to start pushing the envelope a little bit because the trials were coming up. October to February is kind of a short turnaround in the marathon world, and I just couldn't turn the corner, and so I ended up digging myself deeper. And so by the time the trials rolled around, I was healthy and training again, but I wasn't marathon ready. And
Right.
so definitely a major disappointment. I thought, on my best day, I was a contender for that third Olympic spot. I thought,
Yeah.
why can't I dream about that? Like I put myself in that conversation. And
Sure.
so to miss it was really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine, especially you were probably feeling pretty great after Chicago, and then just to not be able to roll that. I mean, because the top eight American, that does put you in at least the mix on any given day, especially depending on the course. Which Atlanta was a weird course, so could shake out any which way.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way running kind of goes sometimes is you have one performance and you're riding high on it, the sky's the limit, just like anything is possible, everything has changed for me.
Yeah.
But then, one injury and you're back in the basement. And that's kind of one thing I've had to learn is like you can't get too caught up in any particular high or any particular low because most of my best races have been followed by periods of like injury and stagnation, right? And so it's like, it's all peaks and valleys, and so it was definitely a valley for me after Chicago, but I'm still really grateful that I got to be a part of that day in Chicago. It was really special, and I believe that there's good things coming for me in the future. So to miss the trials was a bummer, but I try to keep it in perspective.
Yeah. Well, is Jake Riley from Boulder or live in Boulder as well?
He lives in Boulder now, yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a ton of high profile runners who live in Boulder and train there. So, but
Yeah, he's a super inspirational story, though. I mean,
yeah,
he was a guy who ran 2:13 in his debut, had surgeries, missed a couple years, just like
well,
personal life was kind of terrible, and
yeah,
then just stuck around. And then he's all of a sudden on the Olympic team. So it should give anybody hope, really.
yeah. I mean, I interviewed him for a story we did, like at the beginning of the coronavirus, and it was interesting, because he and Galen Rupp both had the Haglund's surgery, and had to take pretty much like a whole year off, and then both came back to qualify for the Olympic team. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean anything's possible, and Galen I'm not a huge fan of, but Jake I am, and he's a great dude, and he deserves all the success he had, and he should inspire everybody watching, really.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely love seeing that. So like for you, what do you got going on, like this year, next year? Like what are you even doing right now, as far as
Great question. Sitting around
I don't even
that.
care. It doesn't even have to be running. Or like, just what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean running wise, like at this point I'm training as I normally would be, I think, if I had a fall marathon on the schedule, just for a sense of normalcy.
Yeah,
I definitely took some time off and stepped back for a while when everything was canceled. But at this point, there's some fun, I'll call them projects in the works for the late fall that I'm excited about. There's not really worth talking about because I don't have any details, but there's some stuff we're putting together that I think could be exciting and I want to be fit for.
cool.
Um, so I'm doing fine training. I'm not doing anything special, but I'm doing consistent training, and so that's my running life. Outside of that, I'm like a stay-at-home dog dad. We have two dogs. I started playing with a band over the last couple months,
Nice.
um, which has been really cool for me to have a musical outlet again because I played in a band for so long and kind of stopped that when running took over my life, and now I'm trying to incorporate it back in.
Nice.
Um, and so that. I mean, that's something I'm really excited about right now, I guess.
I think that's equally as exciting as running.
Yeah,
What instrument do you play?
I play guitar.
Okay, just guitar. Do you play anything else? I mean, obviously you can play bass too, probably in a pinch.
Yeah, and every now and then I grab a bass just for fun, but no, guitar is pretty much it for me. I've messed around with some other stuff, but I wouldn't feel comfortable saying I play anything else.
Yeah. What type of band do you play in right now?
I'd call it a pop punk band.
I like it.
That with some metal in there and a little bit more straight punk in there too.
Nice.
Um, which is cool because over the last few years I've really only been playing acoustic, and so I was getting like more into like the indie folk stuff, just whatever I could play on my own. And so to be 29 years old and playing in a pop punk band again is like kind of a thrill for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just three chords and just jamming out.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so, you know, it's kind of a weird time to join a band because we're not really playing out right now because
Right.
venues are closed, but it also gives me a chance to like learn the songs. We're gonna do some recording. We have a Patreon page. The band is called Barry Mia if anyone wants to check it out.
Sweet.
So anyway, yeah, it's been fun for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I actually played like I've had a weird life trajectory as well before. So like when I was in my 20s, I toured in a band for like 6 years. Not famous at all, but we still did it, and would pass through Indianapolis every now and then as well. But are you familiar with Margot and the Nuclear So-and-Sos?
Yeah, of course.
Because they're like one of my kind of favorite bands from back in the mid 2000s period, and obviously, from Indianapolis. So, yeah.
Yeah, I used to hang out. I think their bass player had ran the Queen Size Studios or something, and I had friends who recorded there, so I used to go there and hang out sometimes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's really weird. Like when I was in a band, our lead singers like had a girlfriend, then broke up with her for a little, and she was kind of like dating Richard Edwards, but I'm sure like a ton of other girls were too. So it's all this like weird thing.
It's a connection. It's a connection.
Yeah, it counts. He is one of my favorite songwriters, though. I think he's brilliant, but kind of insane.
But that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What actually, on the music topic, what was the last show you went to before quarantine?
That's a great question. And I don't remember. I saw Bon Iver here not
Okay.
terribly long ago. To be honest, is like going to shows is kind of tough for me a lot of the time when I'm in season because there's such late nights,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and so a lot of times it was hard to justify going to shows when I knew I'd have to wake up like 3 hours later and like hammer a long run.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
But
cool.
I'm hoping when things start opening up again that I can have a little bit more of a relaxed mindset and feel more comfortable doing those things instead of just being like laser running.
Yeah.
Because I think you can't do both. But I wouldn't always let myself do both.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough balance there. Like the nightlife that isn't super conducive to the running life.
Yeah, and it's a balance, and so it'll be interesting to see when races start again how I can balance that in the band. But I mean, it's fun though, and so I think it's worth trying to balance, and so that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's like an interesting thing because a lot of times people are so like focused on the running thing that if that they do get injured or lose that, then you know it's like an extra big hit, like as far as like being depressed and down about it. Where if you have another creative outlet, it kind of helps balance that out. I feel like.
Yeah, and at this point in my career, I've accomplished more than I ever dreamed was possible for me. Like I ran 4:30 for the mile in high school, 9:50 for the 2 mile, never ran state. Like
Yeah.
I've done more than I ever thought I would. And so it's like now I'm in this position of being able to train full time. Like why would I make myself hate it? Like shouldn't I be able to do that, and also enjoy the freedom it brings? And so I'm trying to manufacture a mindset that is not only performance oriented, but more experience oriented.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. And actually, I did want to ask you this: do you have another job outside of running at all, or do you just is running your full time?
Running's full time for me. I assistant coach at Boulder High School during the cross country season, but that's not like a job. It's just something I do in the afternoon. And so, yeah, since 2017, I've been able to run full time.
I mean, that's pretty amazing if you think about it. Like you said, especially if it wasn't something that you expected maybe straight out of a D3 school, and then to progress to that level, that's definitely, like you said, I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm fully aware of how unique an opportunity it is that I have to do this full time.
Yeah.
And I was 26 when I signed my contract, and so I know what it is to work full time and to run. And so I was doing like landscaping and running, and so now I'm not working at all. It's like I understand the opportunity that I have
Yeah.
in a way that I'm not sure all professional runners do.
I think there's a lot of value. I mean, it's like any job or profession where, you know, like you'll especially see that with like businesses or startups where you have to grind it out for those few years and like do all the other things. And I feel like there's a deeper appreciation once you kind of do that and then are able, like the doors open up to you, you know, so that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did want to, do you want to take a couple questions here?
Yeah, sure.
I,
I'm along for the ride.
So full disclosure, I don't know how many of these are your friends harassing you, and how many of them are actual questions. So I'm gonna pull some up. So
It's probably mostly my friends harassing me.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let me see. Let me find a good one. Oh, first off, do you listen to music while you're running?
No.
Okay. I think most people don't like, but one of the questions pertained to that, so I was like, I don't know if this really even works. Well, let's just go with this. We'll see. Favorite hardcore band, or I guess you could say, I think someone else asked favorite mid 2000s emo band, so you can kind of like run both of those.
Yeah, I never got super into like the hardcore scene. But my favorite band is Brand New.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I mean that got into the 2000s for sure. Yeah, they're my favorite band. I love Manchester Orchestra. They're up there too. Death Cab, like those are the style that I really love.
I feel like yeah, actually all three of those are kind of up in my top 10 as well, probably. What's your favorite Brand New album?
That's like the question that I'll talk about because they're so different. Your favorite weapon is a classic to me. Like the angst in that album is something that resonates with me as much now as it did when I was however old I was when I first heard it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I actually I'll show you something here. I have
Hold on,
the
forgot to charge my
I
phone.
have I have the
Oh,
Brand New Astronaut.
nice.
So from but
Dude,
yeah.
that's as far as my favorite album, I'm torn between that and The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. Because I feel like that album grew on me a lot, and
Mhm.
I don't know, it's like the first three. I feel like they're all different places in my life too. Because like your favorite weapon was like high school. I'm a little bit older than you, and then like oh my gosh, I'm like Deja Entendu was like college, and then your favorite weapon was like later mid 20s or whatever. And I feel like they all like coincided with those periods. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing I love about the band is that, their albums go across the spectrum, and of different times in my life, and identify with all of them for different reasons.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, did you see them when they toured with Manchester Orchestra like a couple years back?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I saw them in Chicago with Manchester Orchestra, and that's the first time I hadn't heard of Manchester before that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I mean, that must have been 2011 or 2012, something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
wasn't long ago.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen Manchester twice. On their first on like a Virgin, um, and then like last year I saw them on the Deep Mile to Surface tour. That was awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, they're still putting out great albums. I think Andy Hull is one of the, Mount Rushmore of rock music.
Yeah, I mean, well, and he's also a brilliant songwriter as well because he did like that soundtrack for whatever that Daniel Radcliffe movie was, like that indie film. But he's just a good.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Nice. Yeah, Cody, one of our followers, just said the best was Brand New versus Taking Back Sunday. Was a classic rivalry back in the day.
Yeah, and I feel like I never got to enjoy Taking Back Sunday because I just decided that I had to like hate them a little bit because I liked Brand New so much.
Have you ever had this discussion with Des Linden at all? Because she's also I believe, a Brand New Taking Back fan.
Yeah, she is. We see each other on the road here and there, and we've definitely talked music a little bit. But yeah, she's a Brand New fan.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. And now Cody's just dropping lines. Let me let me see what else we got here. I'll ask a running question since that's, I guess, what we do here. Let's see. I don't know if this is someone you know or not, so I'll just ask it. Is it coming up? I don't know. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Which KOMs or CRs, I guess, for runners are you eyeing around Boulder, and when is your transition to triathlon?
Well, triathlon probably never. But the Strava CRs are actually kind of interesting to me, especially since there's no like organized competitions. A triathlete actually just hammered the course record on Magnolia Road, which is obviously like a pretty famous road here in Boulder.
Okay.
And so he ran the 15 miles there at 5:30 pace, which is pretty impressive. It's up at near 9,000 feet. It's about 1,500 feet of climbing over rolling hills. And so I'd kind of like to go after that one at some point.
Nice. Do you ever like snipe Strava segments for fun? Because like I know it's the kind of cool thing to do right now.
I haven't yet. I honestly just started using Strava for the first time over the last couple months.
Okay.
I had one, but I wasn't uploading anything to it, and I was just like, what the hell? I'll start doing that.
Nice.
So yeah, not going after segments yet, but it might be something I get into. I think it's a cool thing to do.
Does CJ Albertson live out there?
I don't think so,
Okay.
but I know the name.
He might be like Denver or somewhere else. Okay. Because I know there was like one day when he went Strava sniping and collected like 26 or 30 like competitive CRs over the course of like 25 miles. It was ridiculous, but
Yeah.
it was like in the first week of COVID when everyone was doing like completely insane shit like nonstop.
To be honest, a lot of the CRs around here are like very elite, because they're all pros, and so it's not something that I could just walk out my door and like
Right.
grab a couple. It's like you're doing some drills and stretches before before you go after something around here for sure.
For sure. And that's actually a good spin-off question. I know like a lot of people like, and this is maybe once they start to like aren't like gunning for their typical running goals will transition into ultra marathon. Do you have any like desire to do that ever like down the road?
Yeah, I would like to get into, kind of ultra distance stuff at some point, but I'm not sure how competitively. I think that is it'd be more like once I'm like retired,
Right.
I would try to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just for
I guess.
yeah, for the experience.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah.
I was gonna say, I guess Saucony is not sponsoring you to run ultras.
No, not explicitly, but I think they'd be cool with it if it's something I was passionate about. But I just have, I have goals at the distances I race now, but I don't think I can ever get the same experience in a marathon that I would doing 100. And so just to see what that's like, I would like to do it someday.
Yeah, nice. Um, Let me pull up. Hold on. There's one that. This is the one that I want to pull up earlier. What do you and the dogs do together while I'm at work?
That must be from Emma. Well,
There's
your
so not too much.
there's one laying there, and then there's another one laying in the bedroom. This painting is a still image of the other one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, not a whole lot. Oh, Emma's actually in the chat right there. Hi Emma, how's work going?
Nice. Apparently, pretty good. That's awesome. All right, let me see what else we got here. This is a good question I think that people really want to know. So, will you ever go back to beardless Noah?
Maybe not totally beardless. Like I usually will nix the beard and do the mustache. So we'll see. I don't know if clean shaven is ever in my future totally.
Yeah, like I will say the mustache has to be in the top 3 to top 5 in running. I know you have like stiff competition with Jared Ward, and do you know Brian Tolbert? He's an
No.
upper trail runner. You got some competition there, but I think you have the potential to pull it off in that head to head.
I will always just be a poor imitation of Jared Ward. That's like the best I can ever hope to be.
But you have like you have like the chimney sweep thing going on, and but Jared Ward, it looks like he was born to like have it. Like he might have been born with it. I'm not even completely sure.
Yeah, I mean Jared is just so handsome and wholesome that I can't pull off anything compared to what he's got.
Pretty excellent.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. Well, I will go back to this. So this is another music question. Favorite make of guitar, or what kind of guitar do you play, maybe?
I have right now a D'Angelico like semi-hollow body, which I really love, but my favorite guitar is probably the Gibson Les Paul. I had one and that was Alpine white, gold hardware, super beautiful, but I had to sell it when I moved here to pay rent, and so I don't have it anymore, but that was definitely like a dream guitar for me before I sold it on Craigslist.
That sucks. I guess it all worked
It was
out.
necessary.
Though. If you had to sell a Gibson to catapult you to this life, I guess it worked out.
Yeah, and I think I could buy one. I could buy it again now but yeah, it was a beautiful machine.
Yeah, that's really nice. Sweet. So is that so which guitar do you play in now, like for the band? Is that the one that you just?
The semi-hollow.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let me see. Cody did. I'll just pull this up real quick. Cody wants old school emo band cheese as Saucony singlets. That's actually not the worst idea ever.
Yeah, I would love that. I guess I could cut the sleeves off some of my old t-shirts.
right? Well,
Yeah.
there's a guy in my running group who he's into a lot of metal, but he'll have like all these bands from like Roadrunner and stuff, and he that's all he runs in is like just cut the whole way down and like band t-shirts. And he's pretty fast for, like he's sub 3, so like just cruising along in his metal band t-shirts. I kind of love it.
Yeah, that's definitely a fit.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Um, someone did ask like, what would be your favorite song to end a long run? So like theoretically speaking, if you did, or maybe even what you listen to before a race, like what gets you stoked to race?
Yeah, I actually listen to a lot of hip hop before races. Just, to start feeling cocky because I don't want to feel like angry and sad. I want to feel like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, and so I I was listening to a lot of Vince Staples. He's a hip hop artist, and so I was listening to a lot of his stuff before races over the last couple of years.
I found that listening to Run the Jewels is pretty can get you pretty pumped up too.
Yeah, they just released Run the Jewels 4, I think, and it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd definitely be like employing that in the future for pre-race or pre-run routines.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll get you really angry at the man.
It will, and you
Yeah,
pick the man as the race course or like whoever you're competing against, and
absolutely.
it take care of itself. Uh,
Yeah.
let me see if I have anything else here. Sorry, there's like some of them are new that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, no problem.
I think you've kind of answered this, but we'll get back to shoes real quick. What shoe is your favorite of the Endorphin series? I guess have you run in all three, or do you train in all three of them?
Yeah. So I think I'd agree with you that the speed is probably my favorite, just because it's super versatile. I still think it's really fast, and I like that it's a little more flexible. I also think for like, your more everyday runner, it's a great marathon racing shoe without having to shell out a couple $100. I think it's like retail for 160.
Right.
Um, so I love that shoe, but I'm always going to race in the Pro for sure. Like the Pro is just like a feat of engineering, I think. But
Yeah.
the speed, I love it because it can kind of do everything.
Yeah, I think that's like exactly what you said. The speed, and the speed has a little bit more stability, like structure in the heel. So, because
Yeah,
the pro, I feel like you need to be racing because you're up. It's kind of like up on your toes, that firm, plate. And if you're anywhere, if you slow down, it starts to get a little unstable. So, but the speed, I feel like like you said, covers all the bases. And then like, of course, the shift for like cruising miles or whatever.
yeah, the shift is super soft. I ran in it today, but I wouldn't use it for like a workout. But the speed, yeah, the speed does. I would even use that on just like an easy day. It just feels awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is an excellent shoe, really, and it looks freaking sweet. Like the design's amazing.
Yeah. I'm not sure there's anything better on the market at 160.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking like 160, especially nowadays. Shoes, like normal shoes, are like 140 to 160 now. Like not anything crazy, but with the Power on Plus and you got that plate in there, that TPU plate, and just like at its weight, it's like 8 ounces or whatever, less than that. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, super solid.
Um, okay, I actually wondered this. So post race, say Chicago did awesome, had a great time. Obviously hurting a little bit. What's your like post race routine? Like, do you get a beer? Do you like hit up local restaurant or like the local cuisine? Like, what's your routine?
Uh, Well, immediately I throw up because like every marathon I've just been like violently ill afterwards. Uh, then Emma carries me to a golf cart, which drives me back to the hotel. Then she carries me up to the room where I collapse naked into a hot bath. Um, this year in Chicago, we found like our neighbor at the hotel had a bunch of like unopened beers outside of their hotel room that they just didn't drink, and so I grabbed all of those and just started drinking them in the bath.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
and then like yeah, I slowly put myself together. Um, and so yeah, I mean like Chicago last couple of years, we've just put together a group and like went out to the bars. Like the Hoka and AZ guys, we usually hang out with them for a little bit because they're around. Um, Chicago has a great bar called Kingston Mines that I really love, and so I try to make it there at some point. And sometimes I make it to 9 o'clock and then am just done. Sometimes I can make it past midnight. It kind of depends on the race, but
Yeah.
there's usually a fair amount of drinking involved.
I mean, as there should be. It's like you probably held off a decent amount until race day, so you got
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's awesome. What's your favorite kind of beer right now? Like maybe not technically brand or company, but favorite style of beer.
Yeah, I think maybe pale ales are kind of what I've been drinking more of. Like I don't really do IPAs as much anymore. I'm kind of burned out
I feel like
on the IPAs.
I think that's the general consensus. It's like like it got so hard and heavy with like double IPAs and just like crazy stuff that I feel like it's scaled back in recent years.
Yeah, and so I feel like the pale ale I can kind of I get what I like about the IPA without being hammered over the head. Um, I also just find a tremendous amount of pleasure in just very drinkable beers. Like Miller High Life is like I love High Lifes because you can drink two or three of them
Yeah.
and light and easy. It's not like a challenge for the palate or whatever. It's just like kind of a good honest beer, and I think there's something to be said for that
I
too.
mean, it is the champagne of beers, so like,
It's the champagne of beers, and I don't know why anyone is trying to top that.
I mean, it's literally as classy as you can get for a beer. It's champagne of beers. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
where the conversation ends.
so here's a little. I'm gonna throw this out to you. And so there's a restaurant in Baltimore, and they have this drink called the spaghetti, which is essentially like a poor man's Aperol spritz. So it's literally just High Life. Drink a little bit out of it. Pour some Aperol in there. It's the perfect like summer drink.
Oh, that sounds very nice.
Like you should definitely hit it up, and
Yeah,
it's so good and refreshing, and it's cheap.
yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. So I'm a High Life fan. I like in the summer I just like a Modelo with lime, just pretty simple, straightforward. Especially after a run, it's like I don't know, super refreshing.
Totally great.
Cool. Well, let me see if there's any more, maybe like one more question, and I'll let you
Sure.
get out of here because I can see you and the dogs have lots of stuff to do today. So.
Yeah, super busy. A lot of stuff coming up.
um. Okay, I'm going to say this is a joke, but I'll throw it out there anyways for you. Favorite.
Wow, what a great chance to plug my own podcast here. So I host a podcast called D3 Glory Days with one of my college teammates, former college teammates, Stu Newstat, and so we interview D3 champion stories that people might not have heard before. Obviously, Division Three is lower on the totem pole, and so a lot of those stories go untold. And so we've had a lot of fun, following these athletes and hearing their stories because a lot of them were like me. They came from very humble beginnings, were never champions in high school, but went on to achieve high levels of success. They were just on kind of a different development curve. So yeah, if anyone is interested in stories like that, D3 Glory Days on your podcast app.
Hit it up. Hit it up. anywhere you can find podcasts. I think that's right.
Yep. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of podcasts, what other like podcasts are you a podcast fan? Do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, for sure. I I feel like I've been listening to fewer recently, but I mean, I love the classics like This American Life and Radio Lab,
Sure.
99% Invisible, Invisibilia, stuff like that. I really like well-produced podcasts like that. Dan Carlin, Hardcore History is like a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are a few off the top of my head.
Do you listen to Reply All?
I have listened to Reply All, but it's not one I'm super familiar with.
That's like, I think that's kind of one of my favorites along those lines. I feel like they always find like pretty interesting stories out there. It's a good show.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's cool. Yeah. There was, Runner's World actually used to have a really good podcast called Human Race that I loved. That they told really good stories on. Shoot, you might have. I think you were just on the regular Runner's World podcast once, but yeah, it really sucks because I think once they got bought by Hearst Media, they were just like cost cutting and just like shut all their podcasts down, which is weird because it's like podcasts are now huge and we're also on their way up at the time.
And not that expensive to make.
Right. Like, it was a very strange, like, cost-cutting move to me, but whatever. Yeah, anyways, so I always enjoyed hearing those good running stories. But there's, like, even now, there's definitely some, like, the Morning Shakeout's a great running podcast.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Mario does great work.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple other ones out there. Hopefully, like, at some point, I'd love to, like, because this video will be converted to YouTube and all, but, like, it'd be nice to be able to strip the audio off and, convert this over to podcast, which is something we're looking into. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Or we could just do a straight podcast sometime too.
I like it.
Yeah.
I had to bring out my shirt. I wasn't going to wear it so you didn't have to look at yourself the whole time, but I did want to say this classic shirt right here is
yeah.
It's actually one of my favorite shirts. If anyone wants to see, that's the man himself.
If I had one of my own, I'd be wearing it too. But I actually never got one.
That's kind of amazing.
I know. Yeah, maybe we'll reprint them.
Kudos to whoever selected that blend of American Apparel because it's like the perfect one. And I actually wear
very soft.
Like legitimately wear all the time. And it may shock you to know that anyone outside of running has no idea who it is on the shirt, so I get asked like a ton of questions. But
well, it's good to know you're talking about me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm basically like your brand ambassador whenever I wear that.
I appreciate it.
I did want to say thank you for coming on.
Oh.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It's good talking to you. I know, like, ever since we found out about you, I guess back in 2016, kind of been following your career and everything. So congrats to Chicago and like whatever else you got going on this year. I'm sure like you'll be back around. And yeah, anyways, thanks for joining us on the show. And we will definitely have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much. Totally my pleasure, and I enjoyed it.
Cool. All right, man. Get back to your dogs and do whatever it is that you're doing the rest of the day.
Yeah, important stuff, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see ya.